Hello, welcome to the channel or welcome back to the channel. Either case might be true for you, and don't feel afraid to hit the subscribe button or hit the like button on this video. It really helps a small channel like mine out so much. It helps promote the video for other people as well. Anyway, as you might know, this channel is about language and culture, and one area I keep exploring are different expressions, different idioms, sayings that we use that don't always bear the literal meaning of the word of the words, but sometimes interpreted slightly otherwise. And so today I'd like to talk about an expression that comes from American English, and the expression is going Dutch or to go Dutch. And it's also other versions of this saying would be to go Dutch treat or even to go Dutch lunch. And either way, I thought of this because I was watching an old TV show episode the other day, and they got out of a couple got out of counseling, and the husband said, "Oh, according to the doctor, we'll be going Dutch treat." And then I wondered, where does that expression come from? Uh, I already know the meaning, but where the heck does it come from? Are we talking Dutch as in the Dutch heritage that we know in Eastern New York State, stemming from, the Netherlands, coming that way? Or is it Dutch more like we say Pennsylvania Dutch? In any way, so I'd like to explore that a little bit today. And also with all these expressions and idioms, I like to give what it actually means. And of course, you might already know this expression to mean splitting the bill. Like each person pays for themselves if you go Dutch. Uh, yeah, nobody pays for each other. They're all paying for themselves. And this is otherwise known as splitting the bill or splitting the check. And so one other idiom we have in English that means the same thing is to go stag. And of course, stag, that expression, the meaning is the origins of it are pretty simple. I don't love that expression because it seems like it's kind of based in sexism and traditional gender role assignments, which as a gay man, I'm kind of these things kind of bug me a little because I sort of reject a lot of traditional gender roles anyway. Um, and to go stag is simply because a stag is referring to the male of any species. So if you're saying to go stag means each person pays for their own, it's sort of like each man for himself. And uh and that's assuming that if you were in mixed company, the man would be the one paying. But in the case of going stag, everyone pays for themselves. So I don't really use that expression much because I don't like throwing around the word stag or any assumptions of gender roles. Now, back to what I was talking about, going Dutch means the same thing as in each person pays for themselves. And so, like I mentioned earlier, I wonder whether this is like going Dutch or going Dutch treat or going Dutch lunch, whether this is more Dutch related to the Netherlands, as we commonly use that word in English today. It's referring to things from the Netherlands, or is it more like Pennsylvania Dutch? And it turns out that it is more like we use Dutch when we're saying Pennsylvania Dutch. So just a little recap on what do we mean by Pennsylvania Dutch. We're not talking about people specifically from the Netherlands exactly. In fact, the Pennsylvania Dutch immigrated to Pennsylvania, of course, from mostly from the Palatine region of Germany. And so these are German immigrants. And also a small number came from other Germanophone, well, German-speaking areas of Europe, like parts of Belgium and the Alsace-Lorraine region in France and Switzerland, all of these areas that border right on Germany. And so why do we use Dutch? That's from the German word Deutsch, which of course, Deutsch is Deutsch, Deutsch in German. It means German. And so that's what we're referring to when we're saying the Pennsylvania Dutch is folks in Pennsylvania who are originally from Germany, who migrated over the 17th, 18th, and 19th century. And so very notable examples of that are the Amish and the Mennonites. And so those were a couple very insular, conservative religious groups that came from Germany to settle in Pennsylvania. And also, Pennsylvania Dutch includes a group we call the Fancy Dutch. And why fancy? Because they're unlike the Mennonites and unlike the Amish, they don't wear the plain clothes like the Amish and the Mennonites, always very simple clothes, never revealing, a lot of rules, plain clothes. So the fancy Dutch are not restricted. They don't just wear the plain clothes, they wear everyday stuff like the rest of the public. And also, they would also interact in public and interact with the public, be part of the public. So that's what we mean by fancy Dutch. But all of that together is Pennsylvania Dutch. And the point is, we don't mean Dutch from the Netherlands, we mean German. And so this term, going Dutch or going Dutch treat or going Dutch lunch, that expression, we've been saying that in American English for at least 150 years. And it is not just referring to the Pennsylvania Dutch, it's also referring to other German immigrants in other states in the US. And I know we've been saying it for at least 150 years because the first recorded use of the term Dutch treat that I could find was actually from 1873 in an editorial in a paper called the Baltimore American. And so this person writing the editorial, they suggested that that bar owners adopt a Dutch treat policy in their bars so that each patron would have to pay for their own. And the idea was to help curtail excessive drinking, to help people stop drinking too much. And I guess it makes some sense to me if you can only drink as much as you can afford, as much as you have with you that night, that would probably help to curtail drinking. And why Dutch treat? What does that have to do with the Germans, with the German immigrants living there? It was really a point of pride among the Germans, among these immigrants, to pay their own way, to not be beholden to anybody else, to pay their own way. So that's why Dutch treat. And that's why going Dutch, because if we're applying the word Dutch to the German immigrants in the US, um, it was a point of pride for them. It was important culturally to be able to pay your own way and not be beholden to anybody else. And that's not unique to German immigrants to the US. They're not the only group who felt like this, but this expression, going Dutch or going Dutch treat, really caught on. And so I thought that was cool that we've been saying it for at least 150 years. And I thought it's interesting that it's similar to saying Pennsylvania Dutch, and that by Dutch we actually mean German immigrants. And this is, well, it's a little personal to me because I have some in my own family ancestry. I have some German blood through Pennsylvania, so this would have been not part of the Amish or the Mennonites, but part of the Fancy Dutch. So that's part of my own family ancestry among many other groups. Anyway, so I thought that was cool, and I just wanted to share that to you. So again, please hit the like button and please subscribe. That would really help me out, and I will get working on my next video. And so thank you as always to everybody who keeps watching until the very end. And so I appreciate that, and I will see you around next time.